Today we're tackling a topic that, well, it inundates our daily lives. Weight loss. From the endless parade of miracle supplements to the latest extreme diet trends, it's really easy to get lost in the noise.
Hmm.
But what does the actual rigorous science say? What methods are truly backed by research for shedding fat and maintaining a healthy weight long term?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And we're cutting through that noise today, taking a deep dive into a really comprehensive source. How to lose weight fast. 10 scientific ways to drop fat from medical news today. Our mission is to examine these evidence-based methods, understand the deep why behind them, and give you a clear, actionable, and scientifically informed picture. Really distinguish fact from fad.
That's right. Forget the quick fixes, the unrealistic promises. This isn't about, overnight transformations, but about sustainable, scientifically supported approaches that truly work. Let's unpack the mechanisms and insights. So the article, it immediately sets a crucial stage. It notes that while many diet supplements, meal replacement plans, they promise rapid weight loss, but often fall short on the actual scientific evidence. That's a pretty compelling disclaimer right at the outset, isn't it? What's really going on there?
Well, what's often overlooked with those quick fix promises is their inherent unsustainability. They often encourage extreme calorie restriction or, eliminate entire food groups that can lead to nutrient deficiencies, muscle loss, and often a rapid rebound effect once the diet stops. The science consistently shows our bodies are incredibly adaptable, and these extreme measures, they trigger survival mechanisms that make long-term success really, really difficult. So this deep dive will firmly focus on methods supported by solid scientific research, things like regular exercise, calorie tracking, certain eating patterns, and refining carbohydrate intake. It's about building habits, understanding our physiology, not constantly fighting against it.
Okay, so intermittent fasting, or IF, seems to be everywhere, right? Often touted as this revolutionary approach. But for those of us who follow the science, is it truly a novel mechanism, or is it, like some critics suggest, just another way to end up in a calorie deficit? What's the research actually telling us?
That's a great question. And the science, it really points to, well, maybe both sides of that coin. At its core, yes, intermittent fasting is an eating pattern. It helps create a calorie deficit by restricting when you eat, which for some people simplifies managing calories. It's not necessarily magical in that respect. But what's genuinely compelling from recent research, like a 2022 meta-analysis, is that short-term IF, even up to 26 weeks, proves as effective as a traditional daily low-calorie diet.
As effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which suggests it offers a viable, maybe even more convenient alternative for many who struggle with that constant day in, day out restriction. It's really about finding a pattern that works with your lifestyle.
So the key isn't some unique metabolic switch necessarily, but more its effectiveness as a behavioral tool, a way to manage calories that fits some people better. For listeners who might be intrigued by that flexibility, what are the common ways people structure this? What are the typical approaches?
Absolutely. So you've got alternate day fasting. That's where you fast every other day. Or sometimes you significantly reduce your energy intake, maybe down to 20-30% on those fasting days. Then there's the 5.2 diet. That involves 2 non-consecutive fasting days per week. On those days, you consume minimal calories, maybe 500, 600, or sometimes do a complete fast. And probably the most popular one is the 16.8 method. People often call it time-restricted eating. You fast for 16 hours straight and then consume all your meals within an 8-hour window each day. But crucially, while these can be effective tools, they're definitely not for everyone, especially if you have certain health conditions or maybe a history of disordered eating. Always a good idea to discuss your specific circumstances with a healthcare professional first.
Right, good caveat. Okay, so from these structured eating patterns, let's shift to something that seems, well, deceptively simple, but it has profound scientific backing. Simply tracking what you eat and what you do. It sounds too straightforward, but why does this act of self-monitoring consistently show up in the research as being so effective?
What's really insightful here is how this self-awareness fundamentally drives behavior change. It creates a kind of feedback loop. A 2020 literature review suggests that the very act of tracking your diet and exercise, it promotes behavioral shifts. It increases motivation, not just because of the numbers themselves, but because you become acutely more conscious of your habits. It brings those unconscious patterns like mindless eating or inactivity into the light. And then a 2021 study specifically linked self-monitoring of weight most consistently with weight loss, particularly for who they called exceptional food loggers.
Exceptional loggers.
Yeah.
Meaning people who are really consistent.
Exactly. Diligent, consistent with their records. And we also see this with wearable activity trackers. According to a 2022 review, they significantly help improve physical activity, fitness, and body composition precisely because they provide that immediate, quantifiable feedback. It's about building a data-driven understanding of your own body, your own patterns.
So it's not just about the data points, but what those data points illuminate, how they empower us to actually act and adjust. It's a powerful form of self-accountability. Yeah. Okay, moving from that sort of objective tracking, let's explore a more subjective approach, but maybe equally powerful. Mindful eating. In our super busy lives, so many of us eat on the go, right? Distracted by screens, by work. Mindful eating suggests a totally different approach. What exactly is it, and how does this conscious shift actually help with weight management?
Mindful eating, it's really about cultivating a deep awareness of the present moment while you're consuming food. It means paying close attention to how you eat, where you eat, even why you're eating, engaging all your senses. The key benefit, scientifically speaking, is that it enhances what's called interoception, your body's ability to sense its internal state. This makes you much more attuned to your genuine hunger and fullness signals.
Ah, okay, so you notice when you're actually full.
Precisely. Which naturally helps prevent overeating, and it promotes a more satisfying eating experience overall. The article suggests some practical techniques, like sitting down to eat, ideally at a table, avoiding distractions, especially electronic devices, eating slowly, really chewing and savoring each bite, and consciously choosing nourishing foods that contribute to a balanced diet. It's about fundamentally transforming the experience of eating, not just the mechanics.
Okay, so we've explored how we approach eating through mindfulness. Of course, what we eat is just as crucial. Let's pivot now to a macronutrient often associated with strength, protein. But its role in managing appetite and weight seems arguably even more powerful. Beyond just building muscle, what specific mechanisms does the science highlight for its impact on weight management?
Yeah, this brings up the really important question of how our bodies regulate appetite, and protein is a major player here. It actively helps regulate this complex symphony of appetite hormones. For instance, it significantly decreases ghrelin. That's the main hormone signaling hunger to your brain. And simultaneously, it increases several key satiety hormones, things like peptide YY, GLP-1, and cholecystokinin.
Okay, those are the I'm full signals.
Exactly. They signal fullness and satisfaction. They also tend to slow down digestion a bit, extending that feeling of being satisfied for much longer after a meal. This biological signaling naturally helps you feel fuller with fewer calories, making it easier to reduce overall intake without feeling constantly deprived.
That's a fantastic insight, that hormonal leverage protein gives us. So for our daily intake, what should we actually be aiming for? And what kind of accessible foods can provide these benefits effectively?
Well, a high-protein diet typically means consuming more than the basic zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight daily. That's really just the minimum for general tissue maintenance. For weight loss specifically, to help maintain that precious muscle mass while you're in a calorie deficit, manage hunger effectively, and aid exercise recovery, the sources suggest a beneficial range of about 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram daily.
Wow, quite a bit higher.
It can be, yes. And dietary sources are incredibly diverse and accessible. Think eggs, soy products like tofu and tempeh, various nut and seed butters. Dairy is great, especially Greek yogurt and cottage cheese. They're packed with protein. Seafood like salmon, chia seed pudding, a huge array of beans, lentils, legumes, and of course lean poultry like chicken or turkey. And a really key takeaway here is always to consider working with a registered dietitian. They can help ensure your approach is balanced and properly tailored to your individual needs.
Right, personalized advice is key. Okay, this next method might feel like common knowledge almost. But let's dig into why reducing sugar and refined carbohydrates is such a scientifically supported method for weight loss. What are the metabolic mechanisms really at play here that make this such a consistent recommendation?
The core mechanism really revolves around how these foods impact our blood sugar and insulin response, and crucially, their nutrient density or often lack thereof. The typical Western diet is just notoriously high in added sugars. A 2019 review highlights direct links between this high intake and both obesity and weight gain. Added sugars provide empty calories, essentially. They trigger rapid blood sugar spikes, followed by crashes.
Yeah, that crash feeling.
Exactly. Which can lead to increased cravings and overeating. And then you have refined grains, like white rice or white bread. They've had their bran and germs stripped away, and that's where most of the fiber and nutrients are. A 2023 study explicitly links consuming more refined grains with weight gain, while conversely, a 2021 review suggests that whole grains are more likely to reduce hunger and increase fullness, mainly due to their fiber content. This leads naturally to lower calorie intake over time.
So it's not just calories, but that whole metabolic roller coaster these foods can put you on. What are some of those easy, maybe impactful swaps we can make to start cutting these out? or down in our daily routines?
The article offers some really straightforward, effective swaps. Instead of the white versions of rice, bread, and pasta, just opt for their whole grain counterparts. Simple switch. When reaching for snacks, prioritize whole fruit, nuts, and seeds over those high-sugar processed options. And for beverages, this is a big one. Swap high-sugar sodas for things like refreshing herb teas or fruit-infused water. Or even consider smoothies made with water or milk instead of fruit juice, which can be surprisingly high in concentrated sugars without the fiber benefit. These small, consistent changes, they really add up over time.
Sticking with diet for a moment longer, let's talk about fiber. It's famously not digested or absorbed like sugars or fats, yet it plays such a critical role. How does this indigestible component specifically aid weight loss beyond just, general digestive health?
Dietary fiber, which are these complex plant-based carbohydrates, plays a significant and really multifaceted role. Firstly, it adds bulk to food, just physically. This directly increases the feeling of fullness and distension in the stomach. That naturally helps people eat less overall, simply by promoting satiety, feeling full. Secondly, certain types of fiber actually ferment in the gut. They're broken down by gut bacteria. This produces short-chain fatty acids, which can then signal fullness to the brain and might even influence fat metabolism pathways. So it's not just a simple volume effect. It's quite a sophisticated interplay with our digestive and endocrine systems, all leading to reduced calorie intake and supporting weight loss.
That connection to gut signaling is particularly interesting, isn't it? So to tap into these benefits, what are some of the best fiber-rich sources we should try to incorporate?
Think broadly across plant-based foods, really. Excellent sources include whole grain breakfast cereals and bread, whole wheat pasta, an abundance of fruit and vegetables. Aim for a rainbow of colors there to get different types. Peas, beans, pulses like lentils, and of course, nuts and seeds. Essentially, anything that comes directly from a plant is likely to be a good source of fiber. And prioritizing variety is key too, to ensure you get a range of different fiber types because they can have slightly different effects.
Okay, shifting gears now from conscious food choices to something truly microscopic, but playing a surprisingly huge role, our gut bacteria. For an audience always looking for the latest science, what's the cutting-edge understanding here? How does this internal ecosystem impact our weight beyond just basic digestion? It feels a bit unexpected for many people.
This is where it gets genuinely fascinating. And the research is constantly evolving, revealing new insights all the time. It's not just about what we eat, but in a way, what eats what we eat. Our human gut is home to this vast, incredibly complex ecosystem of microorganisms, trillions of them. And we're learning that specific microbial communities, particularly those dominated by certain bacterial strains, seem to be remarkably efficient at extracting calories from compounds in our food that we ourselves can't digest.
Wow, so they're getting extra energy out for us.
Essentially, yes, they can boost our energy absorption without us even realizing it. And this could potentially lead to increased fat deposition and weight gain over time. Conversely, a diverse, healthy microbiome, one that's actively fostered by things like fiber and prebiotics, can actually influence satiety signals sent to the brain. It might even alter fat storage pathways in a more beneficial way. It's like having an internal metabolic regulator that needs the right kind of, gardeners.
That's a profound thought, our internal gardeners dictating how many calories we actually absorb. That's wild. So if we want to cultivate a healthier gut ecosystem, what are those beneficial foods we should actively be looking for?
Well, to cultivate a healthier gut, you're mainly looking for two types of things: probiotics and prebiotics. Probiotics introduce beneficial live bacteria directly. Think fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, but make sure it has live active cultures: tempeh, miso, kefir. Then, to fuel those good bacteria already there, you need prebiotics. These are non-digestible fibers that act as food for them. You'll find prebiotics abundantly in many fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans, and lentils. It's like feeding your internal garden exactly what it needs to thrive and hopefully influence your metabolism positively.
Okay, moving beyond diet now. Let's consider a crucial lifestyle factor many of us, myself included sometimes, neglect: sleep. We often view it as just downtime, but how does getting enough quality sleep, or maybe not getting enough, profoundly impact our weight and metabolic health?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture of our body's daily rhythms and functions, insufficient or poor quality sleep, as a 2022 review highlights, actually slows down your metabolism. That's the intricate process of converting food into energy. When your metabolism is sluggish and you consistently consume more calories than you burn, well, that unused energy is more readily stored as fat. Additionally, poor sleep is a major disruptor of our endocrine balance. It can promote insulin resistance.
Making sugar harder to manage.
Exactly, making your body less efficient at managing blood sugar. And it significantly increases cortisol levels, the stress hormone, both of which strongly encourage fat storage, particularly around the abdomen. And critically, it profoundly messes with leptin and ghrelin. Those are the key hormones controlling appetite. Less sleep tends to lead to an increase in ghrelin, the hunger hormone, making you feel hungrier more often, while simultaneously decreasing leptin, which sends signals of fullness. So you're left feeling less satisfied after eating and more prone to overeating.
Wow. It's clear sleep is far more than just rest. It's a fundamental metabolic regulator. And another regulator, often overlooked perhaps, is stress. The connection between chronic stress and weight gain is becoming increasingly clear in the research. How are these two really intertwined beyond just the obvious comfort eating?
Yeah, a 2022 review points out that stress and obesity are indeed intricately interconnected, right down to the physiological level. Beyond just the behavioral aspect of comfort eating, which is definitely real for many people, stress directly impacts that delicate balance of hormones we just mentioned, leptin, ghrelin, and particularly cortisol. Chronic elevation of cortisol, our primary stress hormone, is specifically linked to increased visceral fat.
That deep abdominal fat.
Exactly, the deep fat that surrounds our organs and carries higher health risks. This hormonal disruption essentially creates a pro-fat storage environment in the body. Furthermore, stress can even alter our gut microbiota, which we just discussed, and promote low-grade inflammation throughout the body. Both of those can further contribute to weight gain and make weight loss harder.
So, if stress has such a direct physiological impact, what does this mean for managing it in a way that actively supports weight loss? What practical strategies does the science suggest might help?
This really highlights that stress management isn't just about, feeling better mentally, although that's hugely important. It's about directly impacting our metabolic health. There was a compelling 2018 study involving adults with obesity. They compared the effects of a standard healthy lifestyle intervention with one that also included a stress management program. This program included techniques like diaphragmatic breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, guided visualization, and the group that incorporated stress management showed significantly greater reductions in BMI body mass index over the 8 weeks of the study.
Really? That's significant.
It is, and it raises an important question for all of us, doesn't it? How often do we truly consider stress management as a direct, scientifically backed strategy in our weight loss journey, rather than just seeing it as a secondary benefit? It seems to be a fundamental piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. Okay, finally, let's hit a classic, but one that's consistently backed by science. Regular exercise. Beyond simply burning calories during a workout session, what does the latest research highlight about its multifaceted role in sustainable weight management and just overall health?
Research consistently shows that regular physical activity helps with both initial weight loss and, maybe even more critically, long-term weight maintenance, especially when it's combined with a calorie deficit. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the benefits extend far, far beyond just the numbers you might see on the scale. Exercise improves body composition by helping build or maintain muscle mass, which in turn boosts your resting metabolism, meaning you burn more calories even at rest. It also dramatically enhances insulin sensitivity, so your body uses glucose more efficiently and is less prone to storing it as fat. It really is a fundamental pillar of metabolic health.
That's a powerful point about metabolic adaptation. So beyond the primary goal of weight management, what are some of those additional, maybe holistic perks that make exercise so incredibly crucial for our well-being?
Oh, the list is long. Regular physical activity reliably leads to better sleep quality and duration. We just talked about how important sleep is. It significantly improves mental and brain health, reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression. It strengthens bones and muscles, leading to better balance, better mobility, and a reduced risk of falls, especially as we age. And critically, it substantially lowers the risk of numerous serious chronic health conditions, things like high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and even some types of cancer. It's truly a full body investment with incredible compounding returns over a lifetime.
A full body investment. I like that. And for adults looking to integrate this into their lives, what's the general recommendation? What's a good baseline to aim for consistently?
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, recommends that most adults aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise each week. That's activity that gets your heart rate up, makes you breathe a bit harder. Think brisk walking, cycling, swimming. And they also recommend 2 days of muscle strengthening exercise every week. That targets all major muscle groups. It's a solid, achievable baseline for general health and provides a really strong foundation for weight management, too.
Okay. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it feels crucial to remember, as you said earlier, there are no quick fixes for sustainable weight loss. The most effective approach, as our source really underscores, involve these consistent, evidence-based lifestyle changes rather than those rapid extreme measures. It's about building enduring habits rooted in science.
That's such a vital distinction, yeah. The article really stresses that people who lose weight very, very quickly are often far more likely to regain it later on. And rushing the process, it can even lead to some serious health complications like gallstones, dehydration, or significant nutritional deficiencies. And counterintuitively, rapid loss often causes significant muscle loss, which ironically slows down your metabolism and makes that long-term maintenance even harder. It's almost a testament to our body's wisdom that slow and steady truly seems to win the race here.
Right, a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. So for safe and effective weight loss, and maybe most importantly, for your overall well-being, the recommendation is crystal clear. Work with a healthcare professional, maybe a doctor or a registered dietitian. They can help ensure your approach is tailored specifically to your individual needs, your health status, your goals, promoting lasting health, not just a temporary dip on the scale.
Absolutely. So for you, our curious listener, here's a final provocative thought to chew on as you reflect on today's discussion. Out of these 10 science-backed methods we unpacked today, what's one small, specific change? Maybe one that felt less obvious before, or perhaps more impactful after hearing the science, could you integrate into your routine this week? Not thinking of it as a temporary fix, but as a deliberate step towards a more informed, sustainable approach to your well-being.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the science of weight loss. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.